have all the answers. Oh no, yeah, we can change some of the things that are beyond our control. And the vision of us may be blurry, but use your heart to see. Just follow the beat, the rhythm will lead you right back to me. Sometimes it's a game of give and take. It's easy to wait. Hey y'all, so this is a Valentine's Day Ask Mark edition. Live, love, laugh. And this song is Casualty of Love by Jessie J. I absolutely adore Jessie J and her music. So that's who you're listening in the background. And I have just a few questions related to love and relationships and all that stuff. So I'm going to go ahead and answer it. And just a disclaimer, and I'm sure you noticed in other videos, I only do these videos in one take. So I don't try to like script it or reproduce it. It is what it is in that moment. It's just real, and like there's no editing to this. I record it on my Mac, upload to YouTube. It's that simple. So, okay. Question number 1. What is your view on love conquering all? All you need is love, and other catchphrases that convey similar messaging. So when it comes to this, I'm going to resort back to probably one of my favorite contemporary writers, storytellers, and researchers of all time, Dr. Brené Brown. And she says that we're hardwired for human connection, right? That we all want to feel loved and belong. So I think that love is it is a vital part of our existence. There is no escaping it. Does that make sense? So while I think love is important, love by itself alone is not enough, right? We need to have trust and empathy and compassion, and, you know, love by itself is not enough, right? It takes all these things to nurture it. Does that make sense? I hope that answers the question. But I think love is important, and I'm a hopeful romantic, and I think love is the most beautiful, most powerful experiences that we can share, not only with family and friends, but with someone that we care about. I mean, think about the process in which we're conceived, right? This idea that a mother is connected to a child inside of her, and that the love that she gives herself and the way she takes care of herself, ideally, is a way in which she's loving that child, that person being created within her. And so I think that we have a intuitive need to love and to be loved. I think that it's essential. Yeah, I think love is very powerful. So that's my view on that. But I also think it's problematic the way mainstream media sometimes portrays love, because we know that oftentimes it excludes diverse representations of love. And so I think it's important to start expanding the conversation and framing the narrative to a point where it's reflective of many different kinds of love, because not all love is monogamous. And that answers my questions later on. There's another question about that. Number 2, why do you believe we shame ourselves for wanting to say the very thing that we feel in our hearts aloud to another person? Does it just revolve around fear, rejection, or is there something even deeper? So I think what's interesting about this question is a couple things. But one thing I would say is that shame is, based on Brené Brown's research and my interpretation of it, is shame is thinking that we are not worthy, right? So it's not, oh, I did something bad, you know, I made a bad decision. It's, I am bad. I am a bad person. I am not worthy. I am not smart enough. I am not good enough. I'm not lovable enough. I'm not loving enough. And so I think part of the reason why we're afraid of expressing our love for someone else is that we've been hardwired to put up our defense mechanism. There are a lot of people who fear vulnerability. There's a lot of people who care about you, who love you, who just don't know how to express it. And their unwillingness to be vulnerable and their inability to express it does not change or negate the fact that you are so worthy of love and belonging, and that it is so your birthright to be loved and to be loving to others. And so I think a lot of times when we're afraid of speaking out, it's part of it's rejection, right? And the thing is that, you know, I love, Brené Brown said this in a Udemy course that I'm watching called The Power of Vulnerability. She says,
those who, and I'm paraphrasing, those who live a wholehearted life don't experience, less divorces or less discrimination or less addiction problems. They just know that in the midst of all of the struggle, in the midst of what they're going through, they never place their worthiness on the table. And I want to actually quote her directly because it's such a powerful moment in that video course that I'm learning from. She says, in the midst of their struggle, their worthiness was not on the table. And so I think you have to think about when you confess your love or admiration or care for someone else and they reject you or they friend zone you, it's okay. Just know that's not a reflection of your worth. And I know it's hard because it's so hard not to take rejection personal because it's on the surface, it just seems they're rejecting me. And no one likes to feel rejected. But think of it this way, and I had to learn this when I was dating someone who, despite having this strong connection with and this passion, they were really good at making me feel worthless. Like I wasn't worthless, not worthless, worthless. And it was because they were unable at the time to tell me, it's not you, Mark, it's me. I don't know how to love myself. I don't know if I can't love myself, how can I even begin to accept the love you're trying to offer me? And so in that moment they couldn't, so they only made it about me and not really about them. And so I had to learn, like in that struggle, to kind of understand why he did this to me. That it was a reflection of his own state of mind or state of being in that moment. So when someone rejects you, sometimes it's not about you. And I love my friend AJ. If you're watching this, AJ, hello. He says the most beautiful thing about rejection, and I'm going to read it verbatim. And I hope this answers your question and all that. I should put a disclaimer, this is going to be a little bit of a longer video. But I think it's important to not cut corners when talking about this stuff. So, AJ writes about rejection in the most beautiful way. And this is to answer your question. If people weren't so afraid of rejection, I think people would find it much easier to be more honest. If people who are afraid of rejection took the time to discover and explore themselves and love everything they find, I think people would fear rejection much less. Rejection is the universe saying, you are needed somewhere else. With a strong sense of purpose and direction, we can look at rejection as a helping hand, using its wisdom to help us find our highest path when our personal desires lead us away from the path. Like, that blew my mind. I was like, oh my gosh, I'm never going to think about rejection the same way again. And so, I love when he says here, rejection is the universe saying you are needed somewhere else. So when someone rejects you, it's like, oh wait, they're not for you. You're needed somewhere else. So take that and go. Don't personalize it. I know it's hard not to. It really is. But when you start to realize that your worth is not determined on someone's ability to accept or to acknowledge or to affirm your worth, you feel so much better in life. I assure you. So, yeah, so a lot of it has to do with fear and rejection and all that, so I did answer that. The third question is, do you believe love garners monogamy? I think love garners a discussion about boundaries and comfort and needs and desires. And I think that while I believe for myself monogamy is important, I can't and I won't say that that's the way that all love should be. I think that love is so much greater than the binary ways that we think of it. I think that we think of love as commitment, one-on-one, and anything else that's not that is not true love, and I hate to think of the fact that we try to confine something so powerful into these little boxes. And so I don't think love garners monogamy. I think love with me and being in a relationship with me garners it, but that's not the case for everyone. So that was short and to the point. Last question. What do you do when the person you love is scared to love again because they associate love with weakness? Okay, well, that's a tricky one. You can't love someone's fear away. You can't love someone the hopes that you can save them, because when you try to save them, what you do, without even meaning to, is that you push them away. You have to allow someone to get to the place where they can feel comfortable and loving again. You know, until they realize that vulnerability is not weakness, but rather one of the greatest things that we can ever do to be strong, and to be seen, and to be heard, and to be loved, and to love. You can't force that on someone. Like, it's their own process. So you have to ask yourself, if this person is not willing to love you because they're afraid, then you have to ask yourself, is that the kind of relationship you want? Or is that the kind of person you want to love? Or be loved by? I think love conquers everything, in a sense that it is so worth conquering your fears for. And it's so worth overcoming your insecurities and dealing with the rejection and realizing that, wow, I'm learning to love myself. Yeah? So I hope that answers your questions in a way that it's helpful. Let me know what you think. Feel free to tweet, share, like, comment, whatever, on this video, Ask Mark edition. You know, I have to say, I've been spending the last couple days, and I plan on spending the next couple days kind of away from social media, but I'm going to share this video because obviously I'm creating it for today. And I spent most of my Valentine's Day sad and like sleeping in and out of sleep all day. And I said to myself, get up, put some lipstick on, look semi-decent. I'm wearing like outfit on top, pajamas on bottoms, because you can't see the bottoms. I don't know why I just shared that, but it is what it is. So, yeah, I'm a little sad. Obviously I'm single, but the person I really, really care about is 3,000 miles away, and they're probably somewhere in the Pacific Ocean, somewhere, where they can't be reached via text. So I'm waiting for them to get back to land, so I can hear from them. But, yeah, and Valentine's Day. Oh, here's a fun fact. So, in my life, I'm young, I'm only 23, but I've only had one guy ever ask me to be his Valentine, and that was, maybe 2009, 2010, something like that. 1 second. So anywho, I had to get something. I wanted this heart, and I saw it on the thing, and I was like, oh wait, I want to show this. So I only had one guy ever ask me to be his Valentine, and he actually was the first and the last guy that ever asked me. So I don't know if I should feel like, what the hell's wrong with me for not being asked ever since, or since then. But it was really beautiful. It was, we were in New York City. Imagine New York City on Valentine's Day. Restaurants were all crowded. And we managed to get to sit at the bar, although we were not 21. Although the guy who asked me to be his Valentine is super, super tall and looks older. And afterwards, he took me to Bryant Park for the first time. And it was around the time that New York Fashion Week was happening. So it was like all these things were set up. And I thought it was so cool. And yeah. So rather than being sad today, I am reflecting on all the love that I received from my friends and family and from strangers I don't know across the globe. So just know that it's okay to feel a little sad, and it's okay not to want to be single. Know that you are worthy of love. Know that you are beautiful, handsome, gorgeous, sexy, cute, pretty, off the hook, amazing, bombshell. Know that your love for yourself will carry you through. Happy Valentine's Day. Happy Love Day. Love every day. Make a commitment to love more. I know I'm trying to make myself love more. Not just love others more, but love myself more. So here's a commitment to loving you and loving me. And while we may be casualties of love, as Jessie J says, it is better to have loved and lost than to have never loved at all. Know that. Bye, everyone.